I need to tell someone about what happened at my office Christmas party last year. I still don't sleep well, and I'm pretty sure I know who it was, but I can't prove anything. I've thought about going to the police, but what would I even say? It started in early December. Our office does Secret Santa every year. Nothing fancy, $20 limit, totally optional. I'm a project coordinator at a mid-sized marketing firm in Ohio. About 30 people participated, mostly to avoid looking like a Grinch in front of management. We drew names on December 1st. I got Brian from accounting. Easy enough. I bought him a Starbucks gift card and some fancy coffee. My Secret Santa was supposed to reveal themselves at the party on December 20th, but the gifts started arriving before that. The first gift showed up on my desk December 5th. I came in that morning around 8:30, and there it was, a simple white coffee mug with "World's Okayest Employee" printed on it. Kind of funny, kind of mean. I laughed it off. The card just said, "From your Secret Santa," in generic handwriting. Nothing weird yet. December 8th, second gift. I found it in the same spot on my desk when I got in. This time, it was a framed photo, 5x7, nice frame. But the photo itself made my stomach drop. It was my apartment building, taken from across the street, probably with a decent camera because the detail was sharp. You could see my car in the parking lot. You could see the light on in my third-floor window. My window? The photo was taken at night. I could tell because of how the streetlights looked. I stared at it for probably 5 minutes straight. My coworker Jenna asked if I was okay. I told her my Secret Santa was being weird. She said hers gave her chocolate, and she was pretty sure it was Kyle from IT. The card with this gift said, "I know where you live. Merry Christmas." I tried to laugh it off. Office humor, right? Someone trying to be edgy. But it bothered me. Nobody from work had ever been to my apartment. I'd only lived there for 6 months. I'd moved there after my previous lease ended, and I specifically didn't update my address in the office directory. Only HR had it. December 12th, third gift. This one was in an envelope. I almost didn't open it. I'd been dreading coming in that morning. But curiosity won out. Inside was a single sheet of paper, typed, not handwritten. It was my schedule, my exact schedule for a full week. Monday through Friday. Leaves apartment 7:40 a.m. Arrives office 8:15 a.m. Lunch at desk, usually salad from break room fridge. Leaves office 5:45 p.m. Grocery shopping Monday and Thursday at Giant Eagle on Route 42. Home by 7 p.m. Watches TV until approximately 11:30 p.m. Bedroom light turns off at 11:47 p.m. Saturday and Sunday. Sleeps until 10 a.m. Coffee at home. Runs errands Saturday afternoon. Visits mother in Westlake every other Sunday at 2 p.m. Returns home by 6 p.m. Every single detail was accurate, down to the grocery store, down to the time I turned my bedroom light off. I hadn't noticed anyone following me. I hadn't told anyone at work about visiting my mom every other Sunday. The card read, "I watch you. You're so predictable. Does that scare you?" It should. I went to my manager, showed her everything. She seemed concerned but said Secret Santa was supposed to be anonymous and maybe someone was just taking it too far. She said she'd send out an email reminding everyone to keep gifts appropriate. That was it. The email went out that afternoon. Generic reminder about workplace conduct and keeping Secret Santa fun and respectful. I felt sick reading it. Whoever was doing this would know I'd reported them. December 15th. I came in early, 7:45. My desk was empty, except for my computer and the usual clutter. I actually felt relieved. Maybe the email had scared them off. I went to get coffee from the break room. When I came back 3 minutes later, there was a small box on my keyboard. 3 minutes. I'd been gone for 3 minutes. Whoever left it had been watching, waiting for me to leave my desk. My hands were shaking when I opened it. Inside was a key. Just a key. Silver, standard looking, no keychain, no label, and a card. You didn't think it would stop, did you? This opens something you use every day. Figure out what. Merry Christmas, Jessica. That was the first time they used my name. I spent the next hour trying the key on everything. My desk drawers, no. Filing cabinets, no. The supply closet, no. My car, no. I even tried the front door of the office building. Nothing worked. I couldn't focus on work. I kept that key in my pocket and touched it every few minutes, like I could understand it through touch alone. December 20th, the Christmas party. Everyone was supposed to reveal their secret Santa identity. Grab bags, laughs, eggnog in the conference room. I almost didn't go, but I had to know. I had to see who would come up to me. Nobody did. I watched everyone exchange gifts. I watched them laugh and hug and take photos. Nobody came near me. My secret Santa never revealed themselves. I left the party early. Told people I had a headache. Drove home in silence, gripping the steering wheel too tight. It was snowing. Light, pretty snow that should have felt festive. Instead, I kept checking my rearview mirror. When I got home, I parked in my usual spot, 3rd floor, apartment 314. I walked up the exterior stairs like always. The light above my door was out. The building maintenance was terrible about replacing bulbs. I pulled out my keys, regular key ring with my car key, mailbox key, and apartment key. I was about to unlock my door when something made me stop. I looked at the apartment key, really looked at it. Then I pulled the secret Santa key from my pocket and held them side by side. They looked similar, very similar. Same brand stamped on them. Same cut pattern, almost identical. My apartment key was slightly worn, bit of discoloration from months of use. The secret Santa key was pristine, new, recently cut. I tried my apartment key in the lock. It worked, obviously. I'd been using it for 6 months. Then I tried the secret Santa key. It slid in smoothly. I turned it. The lock clicked open. I stood there in the dark hallway, hand frozen on that key, mind racing through impossible explanations. The landlord? No, they would have no reason to give a copy to some random person. I'd never given anyone a spare key. I'd never even lost my key and had to get a replacement. Someone had made a copy. Someone had access to my apartment. I didn't go inside. I couldn't. I went back to my car and called the police. Told them everything. They sent an officer. He was polite, but skeptical. Checked my apartment. Found nothing disturbed. No signs of break-in because obviously there was no break-in necessary. He suggested I change my locks and maybe talk to HR. I changed my locks the next day, December 21st. Paid extra for the emergency locksmith. I also called in sick to work. December 22nd. I went back to the office. Had to. Needed the paycheck. Everything seemed normal. People asked if I was feeling better. I said yes. I lied. My manager pulled me aside. Said she'd looked into my secret Santa complaints. Said that sometimes office pranks go too far, but there was no way to prove who had done it since the whole point was anonymity. She suggested I let it go and enjoy the holidays. I don't work there anymore. I gave my 2 weeks notice in January and moved back in with my mom. Took a job in a different city. I got rid of that key, threw it in a lake. But sometimes I think about how they made it. How did they get into my apartment to make a copy? Did they watch me hide my spare key that I thought was so cleverly hidden behind the light fixture in the parking lot? Did they follow me to the hardware store once? Did they break in while I was at work? Or worse, did they already have access somehow and the key was just them letting me know? I still think about my co-workers. Try to remember if anyone acted strange, if anyone paid too much attention to me. But the thing that keeps me up at night is simpler. How long had they been in my apartment before they decided to let me know? What did they do while I slept? I'll never know who my secret Santa was. I'll never know what they wanted or why they chose me. I only know they had a key to my home, and they wanted me to know it. I changed my name on social media. I don't post where I work anymore. I have 3 locks on my door now, and a security camera. But sometimes, late at night, I still hear sounds in my apartment. Probably just old buildings settling, probably just neighbors, probably nothing. But I can't stop thinking about that key and how easily someone walked into my life, watched me, studied me, and I never noticed. They probably still have my schedule memorized. They probably know I moved. They probably know everything. The worst part? I'll probably never feel safe again during the holidays. Every Christmas now, I wonder if they're still watching, if they remember me, if they kept the copy they made, if they're planning to use it. I'm writing this because I need to tell someone, and everyone I've told in person thinks I'm losing it. Maybe I am, but I know what I saw. I know what happened, and I need to get it out somewhere, even if it's just into the void of the internet. Last Christmas, I was supposed to fly out to Colorado to spend the holidays with my family. My parents, my 2 sisters, their kids, the whole Norman Rockwell thing. I'd been looking forward to it for months. Work had been brutal, and I needed the break. December 18th, I got the call. My boss. Project deadline moved up. Client emergency. I had to stay and work through Christmas. No negotiation. I'm a software developer, and apparently, I'm the only one who understands the legacy code for this particular system. Lucky me. I called my parents. My mum was upset, but understanding. Said they'd miss me. Said they'd save me leftovers. My dad got on the phone and asked if I wanted him to stay back with me. I told him no. No point in both of us missing Christmas. I'd be fine. I had work to keep me busy. I live alone in a rental house in western Pennsylvania. Small place, 2 bedrooms, built in the 60s, residential neighborhood, quiet. I've been there for 3 years, never had any problems, good neighbors who mostly keep to themselves. Perfect for someone who works from home half the time. My family left on December 20th. By the 21st, the neighborhood was a ghost town. Everyone gone to visit relatives or on vacation. The houses on either side of me were dark. No cars in driveways, just me and the empty street and the Christmas lights people left on timers. December 21st, 11:47 p.m. I remember the time exactly because I'd just closed my laptop after a long day of debugging code. I was heading to the kitchen to grab water before bed when I glanced out the front window. Someone was standing in my front yard, just standing there, in the snow, about 20 feet from my porch, perfectly still, facing the house, facing me. I froze, stared. The streetlight cast enough light that I could see it was a person, but not enough to make out features clearly. They were wearing what looked like an old-fashioned winter coat, long, dark, heavy-looking, the kind you'd see in photos from the 40s or 50s, and a hat, wide-brimmed hat, also old-fashioned. They didn't move, just stood there. I watched for maybe 30 seconds, then grabbed my phone and called 911. Told them someone was in my yard. The dispatcher said they'd send an officer. Estimated arrival time, 20 minutes. Small town, only a couple cops on duty at night. I kept watching out the window. The figure didn't move, didn't walk around, didn't approach the house. Just stood there in the falling snow like a statue. After about 3 minutes, I grabbed a flashlight and went to the front door. Unlocked it, called out, "Hey, can I help you? Are you okay?" No response. The figure didn't move, didn't turn away, just stood there facing the house. I called out again. "Do you need help? Are you lost?" Nothing. I'm not a brave person, but I'm also not completely stupid. I stepped out onto the porch with my flashlight, keeping the door open behind me. Pointed the light at the figure. The beam caught them full on. I could see the coat was definitely vintage, heavy wool, black or dark navy. The hat obscured most of their face. What I could see looked pale, very pale. But the distance and the snow made it hard to tell. "Hey," I shouted. "This is private property. I've called the police." The figure didn't react, didn't flinch from the flashlight, didn't move at all. I stood there for maybe 2 minutes, shining the light, yelling occasionally. Then I went back inside and locked the door, watched from the window. The figure remained perfectly still. The cop arrived 18 minutes later. I watched from the window as his cruiser pulled up. Watched him get out, flashlight in hand, and walk toward my yard. By the time he reached the spot where the figure had been standing, it was gone. I went outside, talked to the officer. He was polite, but clearly thought I was wasting his time. He checked the yard, checked around the house, nothing. He pointed out the footprints in the snow, mine from when I'd gone onto the porch, but there were no other prints in the yard, none leading to where the figure had stood, none leading away. He asked if I'd been drinking. I hadn't. He suggested maybe I'd seen a shadow or a trick of the light. Maybe I was tired from work stress. Maybe the empty neighborhood was making me jumpy. I didn't argue. I thanked him. He left. I went back inside and didn't sleep until after 3 a.m., December 22nd, 11:47 p.m. I wasn't even near a window at that time. I was in my bedroom, reading. But something made me check the time, 11:47, the same time as the night before. I got up and walked to the front window, looked out. The figure was back. Same spot, same stance, same old-fashioned coat and hat, standing in the snow, facing the house. I grabbed my phone and took a video, grabbed my DSLR camera and took photos, got clear shots through the window, then opened the front door and took more from the porch. The figure didn't move, didn't react to the camera flash, just stood there. I called 911 again, different dispatcher. Told her someone was in my yard again, same story as last night. She said they'd send someone. This time, I stayed on the porch, camera in hand, taking photos every few minutes, documenting, proving to myself I wasn't crazy. A different officer arrived, younger guy, more sympathetic. He searched the yard with me. We walked to the exact spot where the figure had been standing. No footprints, none, just undisturbed snow. The officer looked at my photos on my camera. In every single one, you could see the figure, clear as day, standing there in my yard. But there were no footprints. He didn't have an explanation. Suggested maybe someone was messing with me, maybe a projection of some kind, a prank. He took a report this time, gave me his card, told me to call if it happened again. I asked him to wait, to stay until midnight, just in case. He agreed. We stood on my porch, watching the empty yard. At 11:58, we walked out into the yard together. No one there, no footprints, just snow and streetlight and silence. He left at 12:15. I went inside and pushed my dresser in front of my bedroom door. December 23rd. I thought about leaving, just getting in my car and driving to Colorado. But the roads were getting bad. Weather reports predicted heavy snow, and part of me felt stupid for being scared of someone just standing in my yard. They hadn't threatened me, hadn't tried to come inside, just stood there. 11:47 p.m. I was ready this time. I'd set up my laptop by the window with the webcam recording. I had my phone recording. I had my camera ready. 11:47 exactly. I looked out the window. The figure was back. I recorded everything, every angle. Then I did something stupid. I don't know what came over me. Anger, maybe. Frustration. I grabbed my coat, went outside, and walked right up to where the figure was standing. 10 feet away, 5 feet, 3 feet. Up close, I could see the coat was definitely vintage. Real wool, heavy, old. The hat was a fedora, dark grey. The face beneath the brim was pale, impossibly pale, smooth, almost waxy looking. "Who are you?" I demanded. "What do you want?" No response. The figure was so still, it didn't even look like they were breathing. No fog of breath in the cold air. No slight movement of the chest. Nothing. I reached out. I was going to touch the coat, prove this was a real person. My hand was 6 inches away when the figure moved. Not toward me, not away. Just vanished. Like turning off a light. There 1 second, gone the next. I stood there in my yard in the falling snow, hand outstretched to nothing. Alone. I ran inside, locked every door, every window, called the police. Same officer from the night before came out. I showed him the videos, the photos. He watched the footage of me walking up to the figure, watched it disappear on camera. He didn't have any answers. Suggested I might want to stay somewhere else for a few nights. I told him everywhere else was closed for Christmas. I had nowhere to go. He checked the house, top to bottom. No signs of anyone inside, no signs of any disturbance. He stayed until almost 2 a.m. When he left, he said to call if anything else happened. December 24th, Christmas Eve. I didn't leave the house, kept all the lights on, double-checked every lock every hour. I'd sent the videos to my family. My dad called, said he was worried about me, said it looked like some kind of projection or hologram, some kids messing with me. He offered to drive through the snow to come get me. I told him I was fine. I'd be okay. Just one more night, then everyone would be back, and it would stop. 11:47 p.m. I didn't go to the window. I was sitting in my living room with every light on, phone in hand, ready to call 911, but I heard something. A sound I'd heard every night, but never registered. Footsteps. Slow, measured footsteps, walking up my front porch steps. I sat frozen. The footsteps crossed the porch, stopped at my front door. 3 slow knocks, deliberate, hollow sounding. I didn't move, didn't breathe. 3 more knocks. I grabbed my phone. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold it. Called 911. Whispered that someone was at my door. They said they'd send someone immediately. 3 more knocks. I stayed in my living room, phone clutched to my chest, waiting for the sound of the door breaking down, waiting for something to come through. The knocking stopped. I heard the footsteps cross the porch again, go down the steps, then silence. The police arrived 7 minutes later. I was still sitting in the exact same spot. The officer checked outside, checked the porch. He came back in and showed me his phone. He'd taken photos of the porch steps and the front walk. Footprints, leading up to my door, stopping at the door, then leading back down the steps, but not away from the house. The prints stopped at the bottom of the porch steps, just ended. Nothing leading to or from them. Just those prints going up to my door and back down. And they weren't normal footprints. They were perfectly smooth indentations in the snow. No tread pattern, no detail. Just smooth depressions in the exact shape and size of old-fashioned men's dress shoes. December 25th. Christmas morning. I packed a bag and left. Drove through the snow to my parents' house in Colorado. Took me 16 hours. I didn't care. I got home to Pennsylvania on December 28th. Neighbors were back. Lights on in houses. Cars in driveways. Normal life resumed. Nothing happened that night, or the next night, or any night after. I still live in that house. It's March now. Everything has been completely normal. No more midnight visitors, no more footprints, but I don't look out my front window at night anymore. I keep the curtains closed, and I'm never, ever spending Christmas alone again. I still have the photos and videos. I've shown them to people. Some think it's fake, some think it's a prank, some don't have an explanation. I know what I saw. I know what I experienced. And I know that every Christmas Eve for the rest of my life, at exactly 11:47 p.m., I'll be thinking about that figure in my yard, wondering if they'll come back, wondering what they wanted, wondering what would have happened if I'd opened that door. I'm a parent. That's the first thing you need to understand. Everything I did, every decision I made, was about protecting my daughter. I need you to understand that before I tell you what happened. My daughter's name is Emma. She's 6. Last Christmas, she was 5. She still believed in Santa Claus with that pure, unquestioning faith that only little kids have. She'd been talking about visiting Santa at the mall since Halloween, every day. When can we see Santa, Mommy? I need to tell him what I want. We went on December 15th, a Saturday. The mall was packed, but we got there early. The line for Santa photos wasn't too bad yet, maybe 20 minutes. Emma was practically vibrating with excitement. The Santa setup was the usual thing. Big red throne, fake snow, candy cane decorations. The North Pole made in China. The elf helpers were teenage girls in green costumes looking bored. Standard mall Christmas. But the Santa seemed different. I noticed it immediately. Most mall Santas are either young guys making extra money or older men doing it for fun. They're jolly, performative, ho ho ho, and what do you want for Christmas? This Santa was different. Older. The beard looked real, not synthetic. The costume looked expensive. Vintage even. Heavy red velvet, real fur trim. His eyes were very blue, very intense. He looked at each child with complete focus, total attention. I thought, well, at least he takes the job seriously. We got to the front of the line. The elf helper, a girl who couldn't be older than 17, gestured for Emma to go up. I started to follow, but the elf put her hand on my arm. "Parents wait here," she said. "Better photos without adults hovering." I'd done this before at different malls. Usually they let parents stand right there. But okay, fine. Emma was brave. She walked up to Santa by herself, climbed onto his lap. I was about 15 feet away, close enough to see, too far to hear. Santa leaned down and smiled at Emma, asked her something. She started talking, animated, excited, telling him about what she wanted for Christmas: a dollhouse, some craft supplies, books, normal stuff, normal conversation. Then Santa leaned in closer, said something directly into her ear, something that made Emma's smile fade. She looked confused, then concerned, then scared. She glanced back at me. I started moving forward, but the elf was suddenly in my way. "Just one more minute. The photographer needs to get the shot." The photographer snapped a few pictures. Emma sitting on Santa's lap, not smiling, looking uncomfortable. Santa's hand on her shoulder, his face close to hers. That intense stare. "Okay, sweetie, time to go," I called out, pushing past the elf. Emma scrambled off Santa's lap and ran to me, grabbed my hand. The Santa watched us go. Didn't smile, didn't ho-ho-ho, just watched with those very blue eyes. In the car, I asked Emma what Santa had said. "Nothing, Mommy." "Emma, you looked upset. What did he say?" "He just told me what he wants to bring me for Christmas." "That's good, right?" "What did he say?" She was quiet for a long moment, staring out the window. Then she said, "He knew my name. I didn't tell him my name, but he knew it." My stomach did a small flip. Well, honey, maybe he heard me say it. Or maybe Santa just knows these things. "No." She shook her head. He said, "Emma Marie Fletcher, I know exactly where you live. I know what you want, and I know if you've been naughty or nice. But Mommy, I didn't tell him my middle name. I didn't tell him our last name. How did he know?" I told her Santa was magic. That's how he knows everything. She seemed to accept that, but she didn't talk about Santa anymore after that day. Didn't mention wanting to see him again. Didn't talk about Christmas with the same excitement. I chalked it up to her growing up. Maybe starting to question the Santa myth. Kids do that. December 18th, 3 days after the mall visit. I went out to get the mail. There was a package on our front porch. No label, No delivery service sticker, just a cardboard box, maybe 8 inches square, sitting there. I brought it inside. My husband, Mark, was at work. Emma was at school. I opened the box in the kitchen. Inside was a Polaroid photograph. It showed Emma and me at the grocery store. From just a few days earlier, I remembered that shopping trip. We'd gone to Giant Eagle on Tuesday evening. Someone had photographed us from behind, in the produce section. Emma was pointing at apples. I was pushing the cart. The angle was from maybe 20 feet away, slightly elevated, like someone had been standing on something or holding the camera above their head. There was no note, no explanation, just the photo. I felt cold. My hands started shaking. I looked at the box again. No return address. No indication of where it came from. I called Mark, told him about the photo. He said it was probably some promotional thing from the store, some new marketing campaign. I wanted to believe that. I almost did. December 20th. Another package on the porch. Same type of box, no label. Inside, 3 Polaroid photographs. The first showed our house from across the street, taken at night. You could see the Christmas lights we'd put up. You could see the glow from our living room window. The photo was taken from the sidewalk, maybe from the neighbor's yard. The second showed Emma's school, the front entrance, taken during drop-off. I could see other parents and kids in the background. Emma was visible, her pink backpack clear in the frame. The third showed me, just me, at my office building, walking to my car in the parking garage, taken from behind a pillar or another car. I was alone in the photo. The timestamp in the corner said it was from 5:43 p.m. Yesterday, I had worked late. The garage had been almost empty. No note, no explanation. I called the police this time. An officer came out, looked at the photos, asked if I had any enemies, any ex-boyfriends with grudges, any disputes with neighbors. No to all of it. He took the photos as evidence, said they'd patrol our neighborhood more frequently, said to call immediately if anything else happened, but he was honest with me. Without a clear threat, without knowing who was leaving the packages, there wasn't much they could do. I told him about the mall Santa, about how he'd known Emma's full name. The officer wrote it down, but looked skeptical. He said, "Mall Santas have access to reservation lists if you book appointments online. Maybe we'd filled out a form somewhere that had her information." We hadn't. We'd just waited in the walk-up line. But I didn't argue. That night, I went through the photos again before the police took them, really looked at them. That's when I noticed it. In the grocery store photo, if you looked very carefully at the reflection in the glass door of the dairy cooler in the background, you could see a figure. Dark clothes. Wide-brimmed hat. The image was tiny, distorted, but it was there. In the photo of Emma's school, in the far background near the parking lot, partially obscured by other cars, was someone standing next to a dark sedan, just standing there, watching. The figure was blurry, but the posture looked wrong, too still, too focused. In the photo of me at work, reflected in my car window behind me, you could see someone standing 2 cars away, holding a camera. The reflection showed a dark coat and something that might have been a red scarf or red fabric. December 22nd. 2 packages this time, both on the porch when I got home from work at 6:15 p.m. Emma was with my mom for the afternoon. Mark was on his way home. First package, 4 Polaroids. Our house from different angles, front, side, backyard. The last one showed our back door, the deck, the sliding glass door that led to our kitchen, taken from our yard, maybe 10 feet from the house. Second package, 5 Polaroids. These were different. Emma at the playground, Emma at her friend's birthday party last weekend, Emma in her school classroom, taken through the window from outside, Emma at her gymnastics class, through the glass wall of the gym, Emma in our front yard, building a snowman last week. Every photo was focused on Emma. Every photo was taken without our knowledge. Every photo showed someone had been following my daughter. The last photo in the second package made my blood go cold. It was Emma in her bedroom, in our house, taken from outside her window. She was sitting on her bed, reading a book. The curtains were open. The photo was taken at night. You could see the reflection of the camera flash in the window. Someone had been in our backyard, had stood outside my daughter's window, had photographed her in her bedroom. I called 911. Didn't wait for Mark. Officers came. 2 this time. They searched our property, found footprints in the snow beneath Emma's window. Boot prints, large, probably men's size 11 or 12. The prints led from our back fence, across the yard, to the window and back. They also found something else, a cigarette butt near the fence. Fresh. Someone had stood there smoking, watching our house. The officers took everything as evidence. They suggested we stay somewhere else for a few days. We packed bags and went to my mother's house that night, December 23rd, Christmas Eve. I was at my mom's house with Emma. Mark had gone back to our place to grab some things we'd forgotten. He called me, voice shaking. "Don't come back. Don't bring Emma back. I'm calling the police." There was a package in our living room, on the coffee table. Not outside this time, inside. The doors were locked. The windows were locked. The security system was armed. But somehow, someone had gotten inside and left a package on our coffee table. Inside was a single Polaroid photograph. It showed our family, all 3 of us, asleep in our beds, Emma in her room, Mark and me in ours. The photos were taken from inside the rooms, from the foot of our beds, looking down at us while we slept. The photos were taken the night before, December 22nd, the night before we left. While we were sleeping, someone had been in our house, in our daughter's bedroom, standing over her bed, photographing her. There was a note this time, handwritten in red ink. "Emma has been very good this year. She deserves special presents. I'll be watching to make sure she gets everything she needs. Santa knows when you're sleeping. He knows when you're awake. Merry Christmas, Fletcher family." The handwriting was neat, careful, the kind of handwriting you see from someone older, formal, old-fashioned. We didn't spend Christmas at our house. We didn't go back for weeks. The police increased patrols. They interviewed the mall's Santa. He had an alibi for some of the times the photos were taken. He was at the mall, working. Other witnesses confirmed it, but he smiled when they questioned him. That's what the detective told us. Smiled and said he hoped Emma got everything she wanted for Christmas. Said he always knows where the good children live. They couldn't prove anything. The handwriting on the note didn't match any samples they had. The fingerprints on the photos and boxes were smudged. The cigarette butt had DNA, but it wasn't in any database. We moved, sold the house at a loss, and moved to a different town 40 minutes away. New schools for Emma, new jobs for us. We didn't tell anyone where we were going. We changed our phone numbers. We deleted our social media. That was 13 months ago. Emma is 6 now. She doesn't believe in Santa Claus anymore. She has nightmares sometimes. We're in therapy. All of us. Last week, I went to get the mail at our new house. There was a Christmas card, hand-addressed, no return address. Inside was a photo, a professional photo, a mall Santa photo. It showed Emma on Santa's lap from December 15th of last year. The official photo we never picked up. We'd left the mall too quickly, never went back for it. On the back, written in that same careful handwriting, "I found you. I always find the good children. See you next Christmas, Emma. Love, Santa." We're not staying here for Christmas. We're leaving tomorrow. I don't know where we're going. I don't know if it matters, because if he found us once, he can find us again. And next Christmas, he'll be back.